Voters in Singapore are lining up in queues at polling booths as the ruling People's Action Party, or the PAP, seeks a stronger mandate in the face of growing opposition and calls for greater diversity in Parliament. The vote will be the first electoral test for Prime Minister Lawrence Wong, who took over from longtime Premier Lee Hsien Loong as leader of the PAP in May 2024. The PAP is almost certain to dominate and win most seats, as it has in every vote since Singapore's independence in 1965. However, its share of the popular vote will be closely watched after one of its worst electoral performances in the last contest in 2020. The Workers' Party, led by 49-year-old lawyer Pritam Singh, is the largest among the opposition parties, though it alone poses no significant threat to the PAP's rule. It has steadily gained ground in the past few elections, with an unprecedented 6 seats in Parliament in 2011 and 2015 and 10 seats in 2020.
Well, I think the PAP is very, very conscious that, having been around for more than 6 decades, there's always the threat of becoming complacent and ossification. And that's why even Lawrence Wong mentioned that the November 2024 party conference marking the 70th anniversary of the party's founding, that, nobody should take for granted that the PAP will continue to be government.
The opposition is taking aim at Wong's PAP over rising living costs and housing availability, a perennial problem in Singapore, among the world's most expensive cities. The PAP has sought to counter this with a raft of giveaways in February's budget, including groceries vouchers, tax rebates and cash handouts.
The housing issue in Singapore is a big issue, and I feel like they brought a lot of good points. Hopefully, in the next few years, a lot of changes will be made so that younger folks like myself are able to get housing sooner and more affordable.
The election comes at a time when Singapore faces uncertainty in its trade-reliant economy and the possibility of recession and job losses caused by US President Donald Trump's tariffs. Wong has pledged more financial support if Singapore's economy suffers collateral damage from global trade tensions. Dr. Ja Ian Chong is a political scientist at the National University of Singapore. He's now joining us live from Singapore. Professor, thank you very much for making time for us and welcome to this broadcast. I just want to know from you, what are the concerns of Singaporeans at this moment? And they are all talking about change. Will that change come through PAP?
So there are a couple of things. Cost of living issues, inflation, housing, as your report has mentioned. But in addition to that, there has been a view that perhaps there needs to be more oversight in Parliament. So that's been an issue of debate. The PAP has been talking about the need for a steady hand in light of global uncertainties, whereas the opposition parties, primarily led by the Workers' Party, have been talking about the need for greater oversight, deliberation, and care as we head into a period of greater uncertainty.
Professor, what about the opposition? Do they have ground in this election? Because many say that if the PAP doesn't manage to convince the voters, then the opposition is likely to gain some ground through this election.
They can gain ground, but I think they still will not hold more than a third of the seats in Parliament, which means to say that the PAP continues to be in a position not only to pass any law they want, but also to amend the Constitution as they would like. So I think a gain in ground would allow for greater diversity, but it doesn't mean any fundamental or practical change in governance.
Mm-hmm. What's your view on Prime Minister Lawrence Wong?
So Wong has been a career civil servant before entering into politics. So he is known to be quite a steady hand. He's tried to burnish his image, his more wooden image, by appearing on TikTok videos, playing the guitar, which is apparently very good at. But I think what people would question is whether he has his own ideas, whether he has any sort of fresh thinking to bring the country forward.
Dr. Ja Ian Chong, Live from Singapore, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you for talking to us today.